Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Press House Student Spotlights. I'm so glad that you are joining us for this next installment in our little video series. And today we are joined by the one and only Kyle Digman. And so, Kyle, why don't you take a moment, introduce yourself. We already know your name, so tell us your pronouns, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself as a student, your major, your year in school, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. My pronouns are he, him. I am from Plymouth, Minnesota. For those many of you who do not know where that is outside of Minneapolis to the west. It's a suburb. I'm one of those people. I am a second year studying biology and global health.
Awesome. And so as a Minnesotan, how did you decide to come to your twin state of Wisconsin?
You know, it was a hard decision. Not really. I mean, it was, I would say a large part is that I do actually like the Midwest. And being so close to the University of Minnesota, I feel like there's something to be said about being forced to have some independence. I didn't want to feel like I could always just fall back on being 20 minutes away from my parents all the time. And so I found that Madison was a great fit for the fact that you can still get home, like it's a 5-hour drive, like it's possible, but it's not accessible always, which I think requires me to do some growth. And then you also don't have to buy a really expensive plane ticket from the East Coast back here every time, and I get reciprocity, so I don't have to pay out of state, which is
That's nice.
awesome.
And how did you decide on your major?
I always loved the sciencey sorts of subjects in school as long as I can remember, and so I think biology came more naturally. I took AP Bio in high school, and I was like, this is my favorite class. I had an amazing teacher, and so I really thrived in that environment. I really enjoyed that. So I knew I wanted to do bio, and I kind of was thinking I wanted to go to medical school. And I also, at the same time, had this passion and interest in like more social level and like systematic thinking around health and science and all of that. And I think that through some time and through some thinking last year, my freshman year, I decided that I thought that trying to pursue a global health degree as well was going to be exactly what I needed to like fully intellectually think about the things that I care about.
So you mentioned you're now a sophomore, so you've been here for a year and some change.
Mm-hmm.
And what has been one of your most memorable experiences as a UW-Madison student?
Ooh, could it go either way, the good or the bad?
Memorable.
Memorable.
It's an open-ended question. Yeah.
I think one of the most memorable things has definitely been the people I've met kind of in general, both in Press House and then also my other friends outside of Press House. I think they've really made a lot of my college experience thus far. Just all the enjoyable things I've been able to do outside of school, because a lot of the school stuff your first 2 years are just not always the most special, enjoyable experiences or memories. But I think being around people who are also looking to learn,
Yeah.
I think is just that's a place and an experience that I enjoy. So I think the people and spending time with people who also have a passion for learning things.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go off script for a moment. Kyle did not know that I was about to ask this. But in addition to having a passion for learning, you also have a passion, which I share, for cycling.
Yes.
And I know we could now turn this conversation into just an interview about cycling. But I just want to ask one question for anyone who may be watching this who's interested in getting into cycling or wants to learn good places in Madison to ride. Do you have a favorite place in Madison around campus that you like riding your bike?
Ooh.
Favorite place or places?
I will say, I there's something very satisfying about going all the way around a lake. And so, whether that's Mendota or Monona, I think that's a good one, because it's like you went all the way around that. That's a big lake right there, and you went all the way around that. So I think there's something very satisfying, and it's really pretty. And that goes for running too. I've ran a little bit, and if you go all the way around Lake Wingara, like that's a good run. So I think there's something about like, because a lot of the stuff you try to do out and back or something like that, and that's just not as satisfying as going all the way around something.
Yeah, and there's some beautiful loops, like the Wingra loop going through the Arboretum and stuff.
That's
really
probably
nice.
one of my favorites.
Yeah. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Press House. Tell me a little bit about what made you decide to come to Press House. And for those who are watching who don't know, Kyle is the second Digman to be a part of Press House. He does have an older brother, and maybe that played a part in your decision to come to Press House. I don't know, but tell us, what made you decide to come?
Yeah, I think when I was deciding what college I wanted to go to, I came back and visited Madison again. And when I did that, I visited Press House as well, and I talked with Erica a little bit and walked into Press House for the first time. And I think I remember people were sitting downstairs and chatting and studying and all that sort of thing. And I think throughout when I was making that decision to go to Madison, and then when I started my freshman year, I kind of had this feeling that I really wanted and needed a spiritual community to be a part of. Throughout my high school years, I was very active in my church youth group as well, and did like all of the activities on the youth council, yada yada. And I think I found that to be super enjoyable. And so I think knowing that I had something, and obviously hearing Evan, my brother's like experiences, being like, oh, we did this, oh, we did that, we're doing this fun thing previously, before I was even considering going to Madison, really was like, okay, I can be brave enough to go. I can do that. And so I remember going to the first open house like right away.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to get out of the dorm very desperately.
That's super real.
Because it was just a lot. And so I think this was immediately kind of almost a retreat from that and that experience. And so I really got that sense that this was a home for me, and really just stuck with it. And then, went to church and enjoyed that, and joined music team, and then went to Freshman Connection, and on and on and on.
Yeah, you really jumped in like fully as soon as you got here.
Yeah.
And so since you've been so involved, I'm curious, like, do you have maybe a favorite Press House experience, or like maybe a particularly memorable Press House experience that you'd be willing to share?
I think definitely the retreats are really, really impactful. I think you really get to know the people like very fast, and it's also a good opportunity to just set everything, like all your work, just set that to the side for a bit, focus on community, focus on yourself, focus on other people. And so I think that's really memorable, but also joining music team was a great creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
I think without that, I don't think I would have really played my violin or sang very much in the past year and a half, just because living in the dorms is kind of awkward to just play because everyone could hear you. And I never wanted to spend the time to go get a practice room. Like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I think this gave me a good excuse and a good reason to be creative and enjoy music and be a part of worship. And so I think that's also really special and meaningful to me in this past year and so that I've been going.
One of our mottos, our sayings here at Press House is bring all of who you are. And I'm curious for you, how have you seen that sort of motto in action here at Press House?
I think like right off the bat, I noticed a different feeling that I got when I was in here versus pretty much every other like space on campus that I've been to, is that like there are certain people where I'm like, yeah, I can be fully myself around them, but there's not a lot of spaces like collectively that I feel like I can do that. And just in that, like, I feel like in general, college students are very judgy. Like, and I think that's true for just people too, is that people can be very judgy. And so knowing right off the bat that people were being who they were, being honest, and just expressing themselves how they wanted to was something that I was like, okay, yes, that is something that I really want to be a part of, because it's like, you can't fully be yourself in like the Dijon dining hall. Like that's not a thing, but like you can fully be yourself eating dinner after worship. And so I think that that is just something that feels different about Press House for me.
Yeah, and I love that you pointed to us eating meals together as part of the way you experience that, because that's like so central to sort of how we do things here, and the culture that we try to build is gathering around the table and having those conversations and sharing food is like a beautiful way to bring people together and build relationships.
Yeah.
And another sort of aspect of the Press House experience, we have this mission, which you're well acquainted with as one of our council members and also serving on our board. One of our goals is to help students develop a deeper and more mature faith. And so for you, how have you experienced that mission here at Press House? How has your faith maybe deepened or grown more mature?
I think it has grown more mature in a lot of ways. I think coming into college, I kind of felt like I had figured a lot of it out and was like partially satisfied with what I was like, this is what I think, you can tell me otherwise, but I'm right, I know I'm right, I don't care. And I think that coming to Press House has reopened my curiosities around what it means to be Christian, what it means to read the Bible. Because like frankly, like only time I read the Bible was listening to the people read the Bible on Sunday.
Yeah, that's real.
And I really didn't have any interest in reading the Bible. And honestly, I felt like I had sort of an aversion to reading the Bible just because of some experiences that I've had with people weaponizing the Bible. Yeah. I kind of just like was like, I don't really care. I know who Jesus is. But I think that this has opened my eyes to the possibilities of what you can learn, because it's more oftentimes than the translation that's on the page. It's more than what the basics that you can get from a story is. There's always a little bit more historical context. There's always a little bit more things to know and understand about any verse, and there's thousands.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're such an inquisitive person, and so I think it's really beautiful that like Press House has been a place where that has been nurtured and and kind of redeveloped, reignited in your faith as well. So, final question before we move to some rapid fire questions. If you were to sit down with someone who was interested in joining a faith community or a spiritual community in college, what advice would you give them based on your time here as a student, your experience at Press House, your life journey? What would you say to that person?
I think this is funny because I had this exact conversation with one of my friends who's going to a different college, as she was trying to find a faith community, because we went to church together in high school that felt like a home in college, and she was really struggling with it. And I think the advice that I tried to give was that there is a place for you. There's a place for every single person. And that by even considering it or trying to find a place, she was doing more work than most people are doing. And that will pay off in the long run, because I think I figured this out, and I think she has too, that without a spirit, like a faith community is something that each of us individually needed in our lives. And that forgetting that and moving on was not the right choice. And so trying to find resources, trying to provide suggestions, giving my experience, and I think she ended up trying to go to a interfaith group, which I think worked well for her. And so I think that wasn't her first thing she tried, and so looking at different things and trying things out and being open-minded and showing up. I think that's the biggest thing, is showing up, because you're never going to know how amazing a faith community is until you go. And I think really immerse yourself and try to be a part of the group, within reason, of course.
Yeah, that's some great advice. All right, shall we do some rapid fire questions?
Let's do this.
All right, here we go. So we've got a set of questions here, and you have options, so you can choose any number between 1 and 4.
2.
All right, 2 it is. Here we go.
I gotta go with presents on Christmas. That's just where it's at. You got Christmas, you got Advent leading up to it, and you got free things. I got a Garmin watch a couple years ago that I've used a lot and I do really love. I don't really get being on your phone the whole class. And so I remember there's somebody who was like, not just like on TikTok, but like also like 2 other devices going at once. And so I'm just like, why are you even here? Wake up early. Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Amen.
That's the best TV show ever made.
You will hear no arguments from me on that one.
That failure's okay, and that being too critical of yourself doesn't make you better. One of my friends and I will sing Last Christmas as our karaoke song, no matter the time of year. So May, Last Christmas. I think that's got to be it. Anything, any like basic words to spell. I just can't do it. And sometimes it doesn't even know what I'm trying to spell, and that's really frustrating.
But yeah, it must be hard to search for a word you don't know how to spell, which
It is.
requires you to know how to spell it.
I gotta go with Monopoly. Truly, when I'm with people I care about and they care about me as well, and I think just whatever we're doing in that moment just like fills my soul. Like it could be like going on a hike with like friends, family, whatever. It could be here, it could be making music here, something like that. I think that all too often we internalize the like hyper individualist mindset, and I think that being reminded that that's not the case is really quite powerful.
Kyle, thanks for sitting down with me.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks to you for watching. We will be back with another Spotlight in just a little bit. See you soon. Peace.
Bye.